91X.
These videos from the Coachella Flophouse are made possible by Old Smoky Tennessee Moonshine, and we thank them for that. Ladies and gentlemen, St. Vincent. That's artists freak out when I do that. So, all right, let me start with this. Chrissy Hind, Grace Slick, Patti Smith, Nina Simone, Joan Jett, Janis Joplin, Kate Bush, Bjork, PJ Harvey, Joni Mitchell, Debbie Harry, you. Who am I missing? Because that's the list of...
Kim Gordon.
Kim Gordon. Okay, I'll go for that, yes. Who am I missing? Because I went through everybody that front person, influential, like Tina Weymouth. I kept thinking
Tina Weymouth.
Is there anybody else? Because it's the hardest thing about being the female rock star is that us dudes, always judge on the female side first as opposed to just going, are they rock stars? And you have transcended all of that stuff in a matter of, I don't want to say years, but you're in that echelon now. Do you know that? Do you realize that? I know it is. I mean, look.
There's a lot to unpack in that question.
Well, okay. I know you're not going to say, yes, I'm in that echelon. I know you're not going to say that, but you are in that echelon. You have transcended. Alternative was amazing for a long time. It was really good. Kim Gordon, all those people, we talked about before. Debbie Harry, Patti Smith, everything. There was something there, and all of us cared about it. And then for a long time, it was just like, what happened? It disappeared. And you're the first one to kind of come back after Bjork, in essence, to say, no, we're a real artist. We can stand up. We can do this kind of stuff, which I think is great. So first of all, thanks for doing what you do. Thanks for dragging David Byrne out and making him actually understand that he needs to do more, because he was my influence back in the day.
He's been doing a lot. Come on, he's been doing a lot, but just not a lot of performing. He has musicals on in every major city.
Okay, there you go. He's got musicals on in every major city. I want the Talking Heads back. I do.
Do not tell him that.
I do. I'm not going to tell him
that.
I don't care if he does it with something else, with different musicians. But he was the guy that brought art to punk, or punk to art. And in essence, you've done the same thing too. Klaus Nomi, all those kind of people who said, "Hey, we can." Am I okay saying that?
Yeah, I love Klaus Nomi.
Okay, you mixing it up, throwing it. Bowie, Bowie could consider whatever, but.
Wait. Let's unpack that. Like Bowie's whatever?
Bowie's like whatever. He's like androgynous, I guess, back in the day you'd call it that.
Super androgynous.
And which is totally fine with me. That was the whole thing about punk in the first place. Johnny Rotten wasn't about to get laid by anybody, was he?
Did he get... no, I don't... I mean, did he get laid a lot? I bet he did.
I don't think he did.
He must have.
I honestly don't think he did.
Yeah, he did. I mean, there might have been a needle in somebody's arm at the time, but he got laid.
No, I don't think he did. I think he was. The whole thing with him was like, don't get close to me.
Right, like I'm nar. Don't touch.
Yeah, I'm totally nar.
Tread lightly. Yeah.
I'm crazy. Just don't get near me.
I think you're confused about what turns people on.
Well, it depends. I don't know. Depends on what era you're talking about. How did this come to pass? Where did you didn't grow up in like some big major metropolitan city, did you? I
mean, I grew up in the suburbs of Dallas.
Which is...
But that's the recipe for anything is like, I mean, for at least a time, there's a whole wide swath of music that was just made by like angry kids in the suburbs.
Like in Dallas, though? I mean, we unfortunately got one great band. Tim's old band, Tim DeLar's old band.
Tripping Daisy?
Tripping Daisy, I thought was one of the best things ever to come out of Texas ever.
I saw them so many times.
Butthole Surfers, yes.
Fucking love, I'm sorry.
No, you can say fuck. We have fucking love.
I love the Butthole Surfers.
Yeah, everybody loves the Butthole Surfers.
Butthole
but they
Surfers.
were not really Texans. They were aliens.
No, they were like the most Texan because because Gibby Haynes' dad was this guy who was a local Dallas celebrity called Mr. Peppermint, and he was like the Dallas local version of Mr. Rogers.
And I had no idea.
Yeah, like you see Mr. Peppermint, and he's
everything.
Yeah, he's got like the cardigan, and talks very gently and sings the song with the children, and then you look over and it's like Gibby Haynes,
and Gibby comes out with
like naked girls covered in blood and like
and sex change videos while they're playing.
Yeah,
on stage.
totally.
You didn't.
Totally.
You're too young to have seen that stuff. Do you remember the Butthole Surfers when they were just The background screen was basically somebody having their penis chopped off and,
I
replaced with
wish.
a vagina. It was crazy.
No, I mean, I was 5, like when they
yes,
were,
you're probably more like 3 back then. But so explain it to me. How do you come out of the suburbs of Dallas and become what you are, which is not a suburbanite from Dallas? You should be coming from New York City. You should be coming from London, Paris, not Milan, maybe
But
Berlin.
All those cities are made up of people who thought that it was the Mecca. I mean, I thought New York City was the Mecca when I was growing up, and it was always like, oh, that's the lighthouse. That's the place I'm going to go because that's where the other freaks and weirdos are.
That's true. Okay, so you're basically saying the freaks and weirdos can come out of Dallas and then go to New York, and turn into the Andy Warhols of the world.
Well, but then there's also a lot of good people who stay in Texas. I mean, I love my home state. I'm not gonna throw it under the bus. There's some really
a couple of my old roommates moved there back in the day, but I just couldn't understand why. It just seemed Austin. I love.
That's what everyone says.
Because it's Austin. Because San Diego moved to Austin before anybody else did. You don't even know because you're too young for this. That band Rank and File that came out of Austin, that was like the
I don't know
first
Rank and File.
The Cowpunks.
Yeah.
Alejandro Escovedo's first band.
The Cowpunk thing. Yeah.
The Cowpunk thing. They came from San Diego originally, moved to Austin, showed them how to do it. So San Diego owns Austin. That's what I'm saying. That's how that works. But anyway. But you never went to Austin though, did you?
I mean,
you didn't move there.
This might shock you, but I only went to Austin to go visit my sister who was in a sorority, and we would go to frat parties.
That does shock me.
Yeah, that's the only reason I went to Austin as a teen.
You went to frat parties shocks me even more.
I mean,
it
was not my, it wasn't my scene of
choice?
choice, but it was like,
course not.
I mean, I'm a kid. I want to get drunk.
Okay.
Like the rest of them.
All right. I'll ponder that for a couple seconds and then try to think of another question here. When did you decide I've got to escape this whole suburbanite Texas thing, playing with the polyphonic suite or singing? Did you play an instrument too?
No, I play guitar.
You play guitar as well. Did you go, all right, there's the big world is out there, I'm going to go for it?
It didn't work like that. It worked really symbiotically. I was already working on a solo record, and then I got asked to play in the polyphonic spree, and I finished the record that I was working on while I was still in the band. Sufjan Stevens heard it, asked me to open for him and play in his band, and while I was doing that in Europe, I got signed. So I released the record that I've been working on forever.
So it's the old. It's not what you know. It's who you know, and then people go.
Yeah, I mean, I hope it wasn't. I hope it wasn't crass in any way. But it was. I was already working on. I've been writing songs since I was a 13-year-old.
Are any of those songs you wrote from the early days cropping up now, or have you discarded all those old ones?
Actually, the melody from Surgeon, the melody of the verses is something that I wrote when I was 17.
I was asking another artist, Lights, who was here earlier. She said she threw away about 45 songs per album and came up what? To get 11, she'd have to throw away almost 45 for everything.
45?
Like how, to me, how do you throw away 45 songs? I can understand throwing away your first 45 that you wrote before your first album comes out, but not 45 per album because there's got to be some gems in there, right?
I would think so, or at least it should be organ farming. Even if you know what I mean?
Okay, explain that to me.
It's like a song, it's like you wake up in a bathtub of ice and there's something missing. You write things all the time, and then you're like, that doesn't work in this song, but
isn't that
maybe
an
it's
old
over
wives'
here.
tale though? The organ farming thing.
No, I think it's. I think it's a myth of sex tourism, right? Isn't that the whole thing?
Idea.
It's like Thailand. You're
I remember that.
Blah.
It's like, why should you not go to Thailand to do it? Because this is what happens while you're there.
Exactly. No, I think that's what it is. I think it's
an
like
urban
a
myth.
yeah.
It's never happened.
No. I think it has happened, but I think that the instances of it happening are wildly overstated to deter people from doing sex tourism in Thailand.
Okay. All right. No, I get that part. Maybe they could do the same thing for the bullfight industry.
What's going on with the bullfighting industry?
I don't know. You'd go see a bullfight, and you go home, and your wife has been captured by aliens or something. Maybe that happens to everybody who goes to a bullfight because.
Is that a thing?
It must be. We're making it up right now. We're going to put this on the internet tonight. That there was a true case. This is here. I'll start it again. Did you hear about that bullfight in Tijuana?
I did not.
There was an American that went to see it, and while he was there, he watched the bullfight. Went home. His wife was abducted by an alien.
Wow.
Don't go to bullfights.
Oh.
Yes, St. Vincent. Don't go to bullfights.
It's funny that you say that because I had one booked for this weekend
You
between
did?
Coachella.
Where
But
were
I
you going to go?
I was gonna go to the place in the.
In Mexico? In
We
Tijuana?
don't do bullfights in Tijuana.
Oh, yeah, they do.
No, they
I
don't.
have been to one. Yes. Our radio station, this 91X, comes out of TJ.
No, it doesn't.
Yes, it does.
You're just shitting me now.
No, I'm not. I'm totally. You're coming to San Diego this week, right? Aren't you playing a show in San Diego this week?
No, I'm not.
You're not?
No.
Now you are. You are coming to San We're going to make you come to San Diego. We'll have you play the bull ring in TJ. There's two of them. There's bull ring by the sea.
Yeah.
And then there's the bull ring in downtown Tijuana.
Tijuana.
Yes, Tijuana. You have to learn how to pronounce it the right way. Yeah. Right, Tim Piles?
That's a
If
yes.
you say Tijuana,
that's
straight out of the county. You're like, nothing ever happens. What can we expect in the future from you? It seems like you've done everything already, but what's the dream? You've got to work with some amazing artists. Who's on the hit list? Who, now that you're doing as well as you're doing, who are you going to call next?
The hit list bullfights. Sammy the Bull.
Sammy the Bull?
Yeah.
Graziano, what's his name?
Yes,
Graziano?
yeah.
Okay.
No, who's on the hit list?
Who
Wow.
living or dead? Who, I don't care if it's somebody who is no longer with us physically, but who would you want to work with? If you could pull anybody out of the woodwork.
Again, I don't have like a secret list that I stash under my bed, cuz like the David Byrne thing was so crazy and awesome that I feel like I couldn't really pass it, but
everybody does have that secret list. You just haven't written it down.
Who's your secret list?
You.
Shut it.
No, I'm serious. You, David Byrne, Mark Hollis.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
You know Mark Hollis?
Yeah.
Would you do me a favor? If that's the guy you call, I would love you, not only now and for the next couple of weeks, for the rest of existence, because that guy needs to come out and do things again.
Yeah, he does.
The greatest weirdo on the planet, I feel. I
Why
think
don't you call him?
I don't know his no. Look, you're St. Vincent. You can
could
call
get
him
his
now.
number.
I can't. He's probably living in a hovel someplace.
No, he's on the subscriber list to the station. I'm sure.
No, Mark Hollis is not. Mark Hollis is he disappeared after Talk Talk made the two best albums.
He's Mark Hollis at yahoo.com.
Yeah, I'm sure he
I
is.
swear to God, you can find it.
This is the bizarrest interview ever. Normally, artists tell me it's the weirdest interview I've ever had. Now I'm going to say you are the weirdest interview I've ever had because you think that Mark Hollis has a Yahoo email
I think
account.
he does have a Yahoo.
I will email it tonight just to find out.
Just find out.
If he responds to me, that would be the most crazy thing.
No, that Garden of Eden is the best record.
The Spirit of Eden.
Spirit of Eden.
Spirit of Eden.
Fuck me.
Yeah, Spirit of Eden. The first amazing one. The one after that, Laughing Stock. They named it Laughing Stock because when they sent it to the record label,
they
said, we're not putting this out. We'll be the Laughing Stock of the industry. So they went, okay, and they gave it to another label and they put it out. But Spirit of Eden.
Spirit of Eden.
Without
I
a
feel
doubt.
really embarrassed that I got that wrong. I'm really embarrassed by that.
Well, no, don't be embarrassed by that. It's because it's
Can you take my shame away?
I will take your shame away. It's been It came out in 1988. How old were you in 88?
I was
2.
7.
So it's okay that you don't. Your shame
Thank
is
you,
now
though.
gone because the Spirit of Eden. By the way, how do you even know that album if it came out when you were 7?
Because I found out about it later.
Did somebody turn you on to it? Did somebody say, "Here, this will change your life"?
Yeah.
Do you remember who that person was?
Yeah, actually. Yeah, it was the producer.
Tim Freeze-Green?
No.
The producer of your record?
No. Just a producer.
A producer.
A
turned you on to it.
producer who was a big fan of polyamory, which I had nothing to do with, but who
Right.
that was his sort of
There was
his
a band.
mode.
There was a band called the Catherine Wheel that hired Tim Freeze-Green to produce their album just so they could find out how that one was done.
yeah.
Which is great. And I used to burn, because at one point I had like many copies. I used to burn copies and give it to musicians.
That's
I gave a copy to Ray Manzarek from The Doors because I said, look, if anybody from the other generation needs to hear this, it's you.
Hey,
and
can you ask me something? Can you ask me something? No,
I'll ask you whatever
what
you
I
want.
was gonna say. No, can I ask you something? I really love The Doors and I grew up listening to The Doors. Why did the Doors get flack? People give The Doors flack. They're like, oh, The Doors, like, oh, that's like, hippie. Maybe it's like hippie dippy shit. I don't know what.
I think part of it was because the fact that Jim was. it was like there was a performance part to it.
Yeah.
And some of the songs were just kind of like some of them were
like riffy.
Yeah, just riffy.
Like here's a jam.
Here's a jam. I'm going to sing over the top of it, or I'm going to do poetry over the top of it. But I think he was basically in a band that really was. He should have basically left and joined. But the Talking Heads weren't together. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Like he was more the melody man.
He was, and his poetry. You've heard the stuff that. What's his name? Fatboy Slim stole and put out with beats behind it.
No, I didn't.
You ever heard that stuff?
No.
Bird of Prey?
No.
Oh.
Is it great?
Somebody get the YouTube ready. We'll have to play Bird of Prey. It's great because he just took poetry that he'd been doing and he kind of sang these melody lines, and then Fatboy Slim just took them and put beats behind them. It's genius. Absolute genius. But Jim Morrison, from San Diego originally, born in Coronado, very military
That's
father.
right. His father was a military man.
Escaped, got up to L.A. and basically went bananas.
Yeah.
And went bananas for a pretty good reason because he'd been suppressed virtually all of his life. So
Father?
To answer your question, I don't know why they were like they were. Probably because it was just dude rock at one point.
I see. Yeah, I lack the cultural context to know why.
You're too young, but that's totally okay.
Certain things get handed down, people, and we just accept them as gospel.
Of course, because the internet didn't exist back then.
Exactly.
We could figure it out 10 times faster. I want to go back to your list for a minute. Who else? There's got to be a few other people on your list. That secret list that you haven't written down.
You know what? I'm gonna say Kendrick Lamar.
Really?
Interesting. His new record is brilliant. It's so brilliant. And like I know hip hop, but like not that well. Like I'm not gonna pretend like I know.
Let me ask you this: how deep do you go into hip hop? Are you the surface scratcher, or have you gone deep into like some of the old schools? Did you go see Run the Jewels?
Oh, I love Run the Jewels. That's another great record.
Yeah.
This year.
They were just here yesterday. Some of the nicest guys on the planet.
I bet. No, I mean there's this whole super like revolutionary bent on things.
Backpacker hip hop, as they call it. I don't know why.
I feel like you're talking more about like a Tribe Called Quest, which was like a little gentler. Like this is
pretty.
pretty.
Backpacker because like it was the collegiate kids that had backpacks that were still going to college and still had. Not necessarily the genteel part of it. They were like they wanted to inform through their raps as well as do the revolution. In other words, the revolution would not be televised, so we had to go pump it out in the words of what we're doing, but without the guns, bitches, and bling.
Okay,
right?
yeah. I feel like we're probably wading into very tricky territory.
Maybe
here.
Maybe not. So you would not you consider Tribe Called Quest backpacker hip hop, but
no, I don't know.
Run the Jewels.
No, because I don't know what backpacker hip hop means, so I can't say like, oh yeah, that's kind of more that thing, because I don't know what the.
In other words,
vibe is.
You gotta not just repeat the It's not the chanty lines. It's the Public Enemy lines in between that stuff. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like in other words, it's got to have a little bit more like I'm going to college, hence the backpack, because I have books in my backpack and I'm going to read and I'm going to understand history. Did I misinterpret the whole thing?
I feel like we're in really tricky territory.
Okay, all right. Then I'm not going to go there.
Just like step away from the vehicle.
Last question before we dig too deep. Who are you excited about seeing here at this festival that you haven't seen yet?
Okay, really quickly, will you tell me who's playing?
Well,
Phil Selway. I want to see Phil Selway.
Phil Selway's just here.
He's rad. I want to see his new project. Jenny Lewis is a friend of mine. I'm excited to see her.
Blake, Jenny's old Rilo Kiley guy was here yesterday.
Wait, Blake Mills?
Blake
Sennett.
Different. Blake Sennett / soaper / actor / great guitar player.
He is a great guitar player.
He is.
I don't know him personally, but I know the Rilo Kiley stuff.
He's an old San Diego kid. We knew him before we didn't know him before he moved. We pretended we knew him before he moved.
Yeah.
He left because he was a child actor, child star. But yes, Jenny Lewis. Everybody loves Jenny Lewis. What is it about Jenny Lewis that people love?
You know what? She's a bro.
She is.
Yeah, because you know what? There's a thing.
How come you weren't in that video then?
I didn't know her very well then.
You didn't?
No,
we've become
friends recently.
That video was just genius.
It's so funny. Yeah, it's great. The great thing about Jenny is like there's often I think a thing in this culture where women get pitted against each other for like male attention, and then
like I'm glad you said that. I don't really see it that way because I think we might do it, but I don't think the girls, because the girls, hey dude, do you call other girls dude? What do you call your
yeah,
girlfriends?
sometimes,
dude?
yeah, dude. bro. Hey,
You
bro.
do?
Like
You-
if they're a
right.
bro, which is a weird appropriation of.
Not really.
But I think, I mean, and there's like, hey, we're just talking sexual selection. Like everybody's fighting for,
True.
hey,
Everybody's fighting for.
look at me.
Yeah,
Hey.
look at me. A little attention here, please.
Absolutely.
Right.
And we do it, we're human beings, so we do it in like all number of ways. But I think that a lot of times in the culture, women get kind of pitted against each other. And because of this like idea of scarcity, like there's only room for one, so you really got to get in there and, elbow your way to the top or something. And that's just not true. I mean,
I agree.
there's room for all kinds of expression. And at the end of the day, everybody just wants to have male, female, transgender, like everybody wants to have their own voice and be seen as an individual and not as a spokesperson for a gender.
As
or
the artist
for-
that they are.
Exactly.
In essence. And I go back to that same list, like the Debbie Haynes, when the punk rock thing started, we, the young punk kids, were all about, we want as many people to get into this as possible. So whether you were Debbie Harry, Deborah Ayal from Romeo Void, or whatever it was, we were like, that's an amazing song.
Susie Sue.
Susie Sue.
That's
Susie
someone else
Quattro.
who's
Even
miss-
Susie
yeah.
Quattro. We missed her. But all that stuff, it was just like, yes, more, give me more, because it was like, it was supposed to be the generation for everybody to get up on stage and do what they wanted to do.
Yeah.
And that, as I said before, it disappeared for a while. There was very few artists that were female that were getting through. PJ Harvey, still one of my favorites of all time.
Oh, she's the best. Yeah.
She is, and she's almost like frighteningly normal when you meet her.
I'm sure
I
she's
was told,
a lovely
don't
person.
talk about certain things, and she was like, oh, she started talking about things. I'm like, whoa, I was supposed to talk about that stuff. Super nice.
Yeah.
Grew up her parents were the little club promoters in town, so all the musicians would stay at her place.
So yeah.
So she grew up with everybody coming through her house, and so she's like, "Oh, I'll go do this."
And she's a sax player. First
does.
off.
I think she does. Yeah, I think she does a few different instruments. But her dad was like the local promoter where she lived.
That's
so
cool.
every jazz musician, folk musician, everybody would stay at her house. So she was just like the little kid that would sit in the corner and absorb it all,
Yeah.
and comes out and spits it out in a completely different way. Where
That's the thing, access.
Yep.
Access is huge, and the internet has made access really
it's true.
democratized.
Thank you very much for hanging out and chatting with me.
Thank you. My
and,
pleasure. This
and
was
continued
really fun.
success, and thank you for being who you are.
91X.